Join us now and share the software. You'll be free, hackers, you'll be free. Join us now and share the software. You'll be free, hackers, you'll be free.
Hey, I'm Dymatic from the G Technology IRC channel, also formerly known as Black Joe.
I'm Uncle D. I'm also one of the co-owners of G Technology channel.
And I'm Xanthus, one of the co-owners and founder of the G Technology channel on Ryzen.
And I'm KitaKat, one of the admins and also the creator of ScreenFetch.
Yo, podcast. Alright, that's the introduction.
Yo, podcast.
We could start off with a throwback to last week, because we talked about Munich possibly moving to Windows. They're doing something militantly different. Starting yesterday, or today, freaking time zones, they're going to start giving out free Linux CDs to anybody that goes into their offices or whatever kind of building they have. Huh. Never saw anybody do that with Windows. Suck it, Uncle.
Yeah.
I would love to see a community version of Windows. Like a free, watered down version. What it could be is like Windows could be a base, and then the premier version of Windows would have like Word and Visual Studio and all that noise. Be really good for the ecosystem.
Well, Visual Studios and Word are executables and they are licensable.
Yeah. And they account for a shitload of Microsoft's profit, probably. They're not making money selling operating systems as much as they are selling their products.
Yep.
Actually, brings up point 2 perfectly, that this is probably not true and just something that the news made up, that Windows 9 could launch as just plain old Windows.
I don't think they're going to do that.
No, but I saw it a bunch of places. It's kind of like Jesus Christ, that's a stutter. We've seen that before a lot with applications, but we've never seen an operating system do it gracefully. They always have to be versioned.
Yeah, well, they're changing their name for their phone operating system from Windows Phone just to Windows.
I assume that's what this direction would be. It would be to have a standard base across their phone and desktop platforms.
Yeah, that's what Threshold's for.
That's what Mark Shuttleworth's going for with like Ubuntu 1 and the whole convergence thing. I'll tell you what, the Linux world jumped on that way before Windows did, but I feel like Windows has the ability to do it better. And they already are with Windows 8.
Yeah, they almost share a lot of the same code base anyways, now with the phone and the OS and the tablet OS.
They definitely share the same look and feel. It's exactly the same.
Which I don't like.
Yeah, on a desktop it's kind of shitty, honestly.
It really is.
Windows 8 isn't shittier than Windows 7 though, because you got like better resource usage and App Store. App Store's a fucking joke, by the way.
It is. Oh my gosh.
I heard that they actively encourage people to publish Hello World applications so they can inflate the number of applications that store has.
I wouldn't put it past Microsoft.
But Android does the same exact thing. If you search for like the Android book I was reading had a project where you had to implement a I think it was like a markdown parser or something. If you search the Android market for like yet another markdown parser, which is what it's called in the book, there's like 10,000 of them. And you know they're using those in their statistics.
Oh yeah, of course.
It makes the platform look good. No mobile news this week. Never mind. What am I talking about? Apple thing happened, but I don't care about that.
Yeah, I haven't really even looked into that at all. I just saw everybody kind of go crazy about it. Like, just
I was following Ars Technica's live stream, and it was, I wasn't impressed.
Now, I didn't watch any of this, and I haven't read any articles about it. Let me guess. iPhone 6, slightly bigger, beveled edges, and watch.
Pretty much. There were 3 main topics they covered. The new iPhone, two of them. One's 4.7 inch, one is 5.5 inch. The 4.7 720p, and the 5.5 is 1080, which I think's retarded for the 4.7 inch.
Yeah, it's freaking stupid. They're both dinosaurs that size too.
Pretty much.
Isn't that as big as the Galaxy Note? The one with the leather back. Wow.
The smallest version is as big as the Note.
And then the second topic they covered was Apple, their NFC payment system, which is pretty much like every other system implemented already.
Right, they're about 10 years too late to that whole scene.
Even Windows Phone has it.
Does it really?
Yeah, we have NFC pay to play. Or
Play to pay.
Pay to play.
Pay to play.
You'll play a couple games of Pac-Man, then you get your shit.
But yeah, so they're all flaunting that shit, and then they unveiled the watch, and
Which nobody cares
it
about.
looks
Nobody cares
bad.
about.
Can anybody describe it? Because I actually haven't seen it.
So it's a rectangle. It's thick, like ugly thick. There's gold and silver, I think.
Like
and
actual gold and silver?
No, colored.
Oh,
I'm
colored.
sure there's gold and silver inside of
Yeah.
it in the freaking circuits, but negligible amount.
Yeah, it's all glossy and shit. And they implemented. So on most watches, you have that wind wheel to rewind mechanical watches, or to change the time. But they used it as a touch controller, so you can push in and then twist it to move around the OS.
I got one word for that. HIPTSR.
What?
I was trying to spell hipster.
HIPSTER.
There we go.
It is, though. That's who they're appealing to right there.
I
But
actually
that's
just
the
looked it
steampunk
up,
version.
and holy shit, this is kind of ugly.
I know, right?
I would have expected something a little bit more nicer from Apple.
And the
Nice
OS
Apple?
is
No.
pretty much. I read an article that someone described it as they wanted to do a lot of things and then made it work on a watch instead of making a watch and then making stuff for that watch.
How much of it is running on the watch itself? Because it has to kind of cloud in with the phone, right?
Yeah,
Or is the watch
it has to
standalone?
have Bluetooth connectivity with an iPhone, but they have a new system on a chip on the phone. I forget what they call it, but some proprietary name.
No wearable technology ever scales correctly with that. It can't operate standalone and with a phone with the proper proportions. It either dies right away without a phone, or it can't utilize the phone fully. And what wearable technology right now is a goddamn mess.
I did see an article somewhere of a couple watches that had SIM capabilities for their own standalone phone.
Wait, what? So the watch is the product, and the phone is like the extra?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
I
That's
forget
cool.
where I saw it. It was like a couple months ago.
Was it what operating system was it running?
I think some no-name proprietary shit or some version of Android.
Yeah, it would surprise me if it's not Android. That's used so much nowadays on embedded systems.
Mm-hmm.
It's already optimized for like little computers. You might as well just run it. It's like I don't know why it reminded me of it. I guess because it's Java running on shit it shouldn't run on. Like remember when you install Java and it has a little scene? It says 10 billion devices run Java.
Yeah.
Parking meters is one of those devices it always lists, and every time I install
Really?
Java, I have no idea what it's talking about. I hope to God parking
Fucking
meters
parking
aren't really
meters?
using Java.
Talk about bloat.
You know, it was like some freaking 45-year-old dude that saw, hey, all my engineers know Java. We should definitely put those on our parking meters.
Of course.
That's actually kind of sad.
I would welcome it, though. Laggy-ass parking meters, you get extra time.
Of course we need an entire object-oriented program for a fucking parking meter that counts change.
They would normally probably do that shit in assembly, but I take that back because they're getting more and more complex with like being able to read credit cards and all that kind of stuff. You kind of need a full API.
Yeah, but you could at least use like C++ or something.
Shit, you could use C.
Yeah.
We say that, and then there's ATMs running Windows XP.
Well, those also have like a user interface and stuff, though. So.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So they need the whole graphical stack anyway.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it would run Linux though. Like I could see like a small Linux distribution handling that perfectly, rather than XP.
I have just the refrigerator for you. I saw a picture, and you probably saw it too on G, of a refrigerator that you had to agree to the GPL before you could use it.
Really?
Yeah, because it was running Linux to stream that web radio Pandora.
Wow.
That's pretty rough.
Everyone says Uncle D, but I thought it was like the past tense of uncle, like just uncled.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
I thought it was uncled for like the first year I knew him.
It's like the smartest thing you can call him, actually. It takes creativity to think his name is that.
I never would have pieced together Uncle D, ever.
Yeah, it's not really intuitive that way.
Where does that even come from? Does your thing have like a backstory to it?
All right, so you all get
boy.
to hear my story of how I got this username. So when I was probably 12 or so, I was hanging out at a friend's place, and he was babysitting this kid.
Uncle D was 12 at one point? I thought he was always 25.
I know.
I would just like to interject for a minute. Any story with uncles, 12-year-olds, and D in it is not going to end up well.
God damn it. Anyways.
Shit.
So, when I first got over there, my friend introduced me to the kid he was babysitting, and they're like, oh, I have an uncle named Chris, my real name, by the way. And so, my friend started calling me Uncle Chris for, like, weeks, and then this was around the time that Hotmail was big, and AIM, Chat Messenger, all that stuff, and I wanted to make a username, so I had to think of something, and I thought of Uncle, and then D is my middle initial, and then 1023 because it rhymes with the rest of it.
So you were one off of 1024 completely by accident.
Completely by accident.
I always thought that was a computer science, like some weird computer science thing.
Nope.
So the real story is everyone was calling Uncle Chris, and then some girl on the block saw him drop his pants, and from then on he was Uncle D.
What were we talking about before the whole intro thing? Freaking Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because what the hell are they doing with Mojang right now?
Oh.
They're like in the flirtatious stage of getting to know each other.
They're in the final talks, actually.
Alright, so they're in the pimping stage.
With what?
Yep.
Microsoft is currently buying Mojang.
For $2 billion estimated.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the thinking behind that? Anything?
So
I can't pinpoint that.
Minecraft for Xbox just came out for Xbox One 2 weeks ago, a week ago, something like that. But it's one of the leading games on Xbox right now.
It is,
and also on PC. So I'm sure they think that they want to take it over and then use it as leverage for people to purchase the Xbox and that whole ecosystem.
Listen, Minecraft is a juggernaut. In the history of video games, has sold more copies than any other individual game. Tetris as an IP has sold more, but that's spread across like 50 Tetris titles.
Yeah, and all sorts of
It's really an industry all on its own, because you have the YouTube community of Minecraft, you got the Minecraft modding community. It's nuts that something that somebody dicked around in on a forum turned into something that big. Some Swedish dude with a fedora.
It's like the dream of G.
Oh wow.
I doubt the dream of G would be to work in Java.
That's true. That's true. Use a different language.
There's actually a re-implementation of Minecraft in Rust called Hematite that looks goddamn accurate. like pixel by pixel. Cannot tell the difference.
Huh. Are the feature sets pretty much similar as well?
I don't know if it's interactive. I think it just renders the maps at this point, but it eventually aims to be a full game. But still, just to get the rendering right, that's kind of big.
Yeah.
You should totally provide a link for that in the show notes.
Show notes. I didn't try show notes on the last one.
Well, each podcast will get their own description with all sorts of stuff.
I was just gonna. I have a SoundCloud for this, but you can only have like an hour, so that almost filled up the SoundCloud right there. That they have the notes, but the notes didn't very closely follow what we actually ended up talking about.
Okay.
And so far for this one, it's not either. Not that I had notes 2 days after the last one, though. I had one note, actually. The rest is just bullshitted.
And I'm almost done with the podcast site. I just need to fix some stuff.
Alright, you can take your time with that. It doesn't have to be, like, rush or anything. Don't healthcare.gov it.
I don't think I could ever do that bad.
Today is September 10th, correct? It's the day that all these sites are putting up this thing all over their sites with the internet slowdown.
It also means that...
you're right. About the net neutrality stuff.
Yep.
What do you guys think about that anyways?
I think it's goddamn important. And you know me,
I think it's important. If I actually had a server to put something on, it'd be all over my sites too.
Like, I'm notorious in the channel for not caring about privacy or anything along those lines, but this is something that people need to support. The internet is the most advanced platform that we as humanity have ever had. It needs to be protected.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that with enough awareness about it, we can make it change for the better. But I don't know. It's looking grim.
Not if Comcast has anything to say about it.
What I think is enough. Not enough people care about it. Not enough people care. Like a lot of people have the opinion, if you have nothing to hide, then why is it a problem?
I hold that opinion, but it's not the issue at hand with net neutrality per se. Net neutrality is mainly a monopoly thing.
And a lot of people say, like, why? What can we do? What choice do we have? What chance do we have to go against it?
Right, the defeatist attitude. And really, they're kind of right, because they know that fighting against corporations that are lobbying with millions of dollars is, in most cases, just a futile thing. It's a flaw in our government, but it's hard to beat. And I feel no shame on, like, Reddit or whatever saying our government and not even mentioning the American government, because really, the American government's the only one trying to fuck with the internet right now.
Yeah, that's
pretty much.
That's the sad part.
I mean, there's been issues in the past where the UK government has had a lot of problems with their internet censorship and stuff.
That's local to the UK.
Yeah, nothing like on a global scale.
Yeah, nothing on a global scale.
I actually subscribe to a stranger philosophy with the internet. I see it less as a service that humans have created and more as a life form of itself. I know that sounds like a kind of like a high thought right there. When you think about it, it's kind of true. And that's why we should be protecting it. It does everything a human does. It's like, it's self-repairing. Like, when shit goes wrong, humans are there to fix it, kind of like antibodies in our body. It reproduces and shit. It blew my mind when I thought about it. So we're basically like cells to the internet.
Some of us more like viruses.
Yeah. Thanks, Moot. So, is Prague dead? The programming board?
Yeah, it is.
Shit.
It kind of is. There's actually a text board now. It's kind of like an independent kind of thing, but a lot of the Prague writers moved over there. And if you give me a sec, I'll find the link. But that's really where all the Prague community went to. That and JP.
When you start to fragment 4chan communities, the one that splits off is going to die right away, usually.
You would think so, but it's doing pretty well so far.
Well, how long has it been different?
It's been about I think since April, right? That Moot shut down the text boards. I think it's April. I was so pissed off when he did that because I love Prague, or I love Prague.
Yeah, the text boards were my first interaction with 4chan. I knew about that. That's how I got into the whole 4chan thing, was the texts.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm. I Google searched if it was... I probably can't even say this on the podcast. I Google searched something and wound up at a B, like the text board B, one of those archive threads, and read through it. And it was like a year later that I realized that the 4chan image board and 4chan the text were the same thing.
So Happy just linked me to something funny.
Happy?
He linked me to a bug on freedesktop.org that has to do with systemd journal corruption. So this guy filed this bug, says, I have an issue with journal corruptions and need to know what is the accepted way to deal with them. And basically what the response is, the only way to deal with journal corruptions currently is to ignore them. When a corruption is detected, journald will rotate the log file and you can just go about your day.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That's so
Poettering
stupid.
actually responded to this bug report himself. He said, yep, journal corruptions result in rotation, and when reading, we try to make the best of it. There are nothing we really need to fix right now.
Yeah, I saw somebody posted that on G. Actually, I think it was a few weeks ago, and they were just having a field day with that because it was just so stupid.
That's scary. Like, what if you needed a log from right then when something broke? There's no way to get it. That's too bad. I guess you'll have to go about your day.
That's the reason I don't want system daemon on my machine, just because of the people behind it. Besides the fact it's kind of flawed the way it's.
I don't think what's Poettering in them care about the end user.
They don't.
They're basically re-implementing the look, feel, and implementation of the Windows registry. In a way.
Woohoo! I'm sorry,
Shut
guys.
up.
I mean, it does different things, but it feels kind of the same. When shit goes wrong, you just put your hands up, reinstall, it's done.
Yeah, like those are the kind of people I don't want building or like developing my init system. That's why I don't use system daemon, and that attitude is just harmful, especially since one day maybe every Linux distribution will have to use it. It just, I don't know.
That's the way it's going. Everyone, it seems like only Gentoo at this point is using anything besides systemd.
Gentoo, Slackware, and Crux are the three. And I'm using Slackware currently because I was using Arch without system daemon for a while, but there was an update to X that let it run rootless, but you need system daemon. And,
For X, yeah, yes. You don't.
Yeah. Go on.
What happens is that the system doesn't know that you own your own TTY at that point. No, or really Xorg doesn't know. So it can't start from that virtual terminal because you don't own it, or it doesn't think you own it.
Yeah,
there's actually a patch. There's a patch upstream right now that hasn't been filed down into Arch repos about this. Using this, they've patched start X in it to actually somewhat try to fix this.
Xorg is unaware of a lot of different things. That's something that Wayland was trying to fix. Like, it can't know where its windows are, has to find that out itself, and weird little details like that.
Yeah, that's true. This is such a fundamental issue. It doesn't know whether you own the TTY. That is just bad.
I think it was a problem with both the systemd and Xorg devs. Not there was someone implemented something and someone implemented something else they were both they counteract each other kind of in a way.
Yeah, but that bug just whatever
the way
it was feature.
I got around it was actually specifying implicitly a virtual terminal name, a VT name, when I use start X.
I should have asked you because I had to reinstall because of that. I just removed Arch. I was like, fuck this. It's too much of a pain to
That's
maintain.
actually what caused me to uninstall Antergos. That bug right there.
Really?
Yeah. But then I encountered the bug again when I installed Arch, and then I knew something was up, and I was like, oh wait, This is nothing similar between these systems besides an Arch backend. Something's up here.
I actually have a little bit of a bone to throw Xanthos.
Yeah.
All right, so we are just bitching about System D, but one of the problems that's causing is it's breaking compatibility with the BSDs. I'm too drunk for this shit. This is something that came out 2 days ago. I'm just going to read a small quote from its commit log. System BSD provides the functionality of hostname D, locale D, time date D, and eventually login D for System D daemons. So it's going to be an API partial reimplementation of System D to maintain compatibility with the BSDs.
Who's developing this? I'm guessing the OpenBSD developers.
No, it's not a first-party project. It's just some guy that is just, I guess, particularly interested in this. What this enables you to do is to run Gnome and things that rely on System D on just the BSDs in general. Finally.
That's actually pretty cool. I know OpenBSD had been working on something like that, but if one guy did it,
OpenBSD was working on it. The Gnome team for OpenBSD specifically was trying to find the smallest possible reimplementation that would allow Gnome to work.
I remember the port for Gnome shell was broken for a long time because of that.
I think it relied on what, login D?
Yeah,
something weird.
It relied on login D to log in.
That should be independent of the init system, though. I thought so. There's something going wrong there.
Well, it's actually supposed to be modular. Like login D is supposed to be able to use it without system daemon, but since
it's not.
Yeah, it's not. You can't use it.
Just like we used the example last week, it's like fish or shark on the Intellivision, where you just keep eating shit and System D gets bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden kernel D.
Oh, I hope not. I hope Linus will have the pull to keep that from happening.
I think that's where it's going.
That sounded like somebody just trying to throw something in. Do you know anything about Uncle being a Windows user? Do you know anything about the whole init system war that's going on?
Yeah, I know a little bit. That System D is trying to encapsulate all the different separate utilities that are part of the init sequence into one executable type thing.
Yeah.
One program. And control all of that within one thing. Which goes against the Unix philosophy of different programs, each with a specific task.
There you go. That's pretty.
I know some stuff.
The opposite. I don't know shit about Windows.
Me either. That's why I'm currently trying to de-virus a laptop for someone, and I don't know shit about this. Like I was like, all right, where do I go? What do I do?
You can be made to look pretty computer stupid too when you do that. They're like, oh, I thought you were good with computers, kitty cat.
I just like, it's like I am. I just not this OS.
I would always feel like a dick saying like really technical terms to people. It just makes me feel like an elitist. So I'll just be like, oh yeah, I don't know what's going on. Your computer's all weird. Just play dumb for them.
What I usually do when someone asks me for like clean up viruses, I usually just do a reinstall because I don't want to it's a big hassle.
That's the best thing to do.
And what I do is just back everything up and
reformat, man.
And yeah, what I usually do is actually, even if I tell them like, hey, do you want me to back up your stuff? And they tell me no, don't worry about it. I do it anyways because people don't really know what that means. So I've had people bitch at me about it. Like, wait, where's my stuff? I'm like, you said you didn't care. Like, no, but where's my stuff? I'm like, oh my god. So
where's my shit, dog? Yeah, I've heard horror stories about that shit in the past.
There's a lot of laptop manufacturers that, like, some people think like some of the shit that laptop manufacturers put on their computers is really shitty, but like some of the stuff's really good. Like ThinkVantage, like think about Lenovo and ThinkPads. ThinkVantage has got a lot of stuff in it. Like there's a lot of stuff in ThinkVantage that like will make it really easy to like reformat your computer, back up your stuff.
Yeah, I like ThinkVantage just so you can like download all the drivers. That's really nice. Whenever I when I had Windows on my T400, I would just install that just so it could auto install the drivers for me. But besides that, I didn't really use it. But that was a really nice thing to have.
Think Fan Engine, there's one program that it's like a package manager for Windows, but I forget what it's called. You can like select bundles of software to install, and God, I wish I could remember the name of it. It's really
Nanite.
Yes, it's highly recommended on Reddit.
Yeah, it's a really nice program for like if you just reinstall and you don't have any programs that you need, just run a single executable and it'll just download everything you've selected off the site. It's a really nice program. When
you're installing an OS, what does your first package manager like install bundle look like? Like, what's the first apps you absolutely have to run your computer?
For me, I usually install Screen, which is the first thing I usually do, or Nano.
I always install SSHD first.
That's a good one. I usually go SSHD. I need Emacs just for the dicking around that will commence when you're installing an OS, just with the configuration files and stuff. Tmux and Z Shell. That's basically it.
I really want to use Z Shell.
You should.
But I am so lazy to like convert all my bash RC configuration files.
What are you afraid of converting? Like what's unique in your shell right now?
Well, right now my shell, it like sources like a whole directory full of like color aliases and just let me open it right now just so I can look at it.
That translates directly over.
Does it really?
Mm-hmm. More specifically, what you can do is you can have your ZSHRC source a bash RC file, and it will interpret it as if it were a ZSHRC. I think. At least that's how mine's set up. But it gives me so many error messages that at the bottom of my ZSHRC, I have to have clear just to get rid of the error shit.
Wow,
it's usually a bad sign. That's like system D, man. It's like, oh, we got these errors here. Let's sweep them under the rug, man. It's no problem.
I actually forgot I had that problem.
They're not there, right? I'm in the Bash Freenode channel, and there was a guy the other day. He was like, he was doing like rsyncs to a bunch of remote servers, and they were all old CentOS servers, right? Well, their .bash RC was it was checking for interactive shell basically, and since there was no interactive shell happening, it was just doing rsync. It was logging in remotely through SSH, but not actually doing a login process, just to execute a command. It was outputting this error message, just like non-interactive shell. It would do the command, but it would output the error message every single time. He was getting really frustrated with it, so he came to Bash, and he was like, "How do I suppress this error message?" He's like, "Well, you could fix your remote Bash RC." He's like, "No, those are systems that people use. I shouldn't be fixing it." Well, it's a broken file. All I want to do is repress it. So we just we gave him the syntax to repress all error messages for his commands. It's like that the error's not there. I guess it's not a problem anymore.
I got yelled at really bad for doing something similar to that in the Rust community. Rust is developing...
It's just bad practice.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way. They were developing a package manager called Cargo, which is still under development.
Yep.
And early on, I sent a retarded commit to get Cargo init in, which would just set up a project for you, which they stole, by the way. They stole some of my code, and I didn't get credit for it, but that's a whole other story. And I was getting a shitload of error messages, and I was like, what the fuck, Rust? I thought Rust was just being picky, so I put a compiler flag at the top to suppress all compiler warnings for that project, and they did not have a happy time with that commit.
I'm sure not. They're like, wait, it didn't compile, but I got no error message. What happened?
It'll still give you errors, it'll just suppress warnings. It was try-catch stuff that it was really flagging.
Ouch. There are only a few cases where I would ever suggest just hiding an error message instead of repressing it, instead of fixing the error.
But 9 times out of 10, this stuff is something that 99% of the time will not ever go wrong. But I guess it's good to write for that 1% that it does.
Yep.
I actually, like, don't hate me, kitty cat, but I actually suppress screen fetch error messages like that. That's my alias.
Dash E or
Yeah,
you just
dash
do
E.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, sometimes it gets annoying when I don't like fix something. I'm sure it gets annoying after a while. You're like, man, this isn't fixed, and I hate that error message.
Yeah, I just.
That's why I put it in. I was like, man, I can't do everything. I just don't have the system. I don't have the resources to test everything.
Yeah, it's mostly on FreeBSD where I get that.
Try an older version. If you're getting it through the packages.
What FreeBSD error?
It's something about like Gnome session is not running. And I'm like,
yeah,
what?
fuck that. No,
I'm like,
no,
what?
shitty fucking piece of code right there.
I'm just
You
like,
can
what?
really tell if you look at screen fetch and like bash any like you can really tell that I wrote screen fetch. I wrote a lot of different parts of screen fetch at different points in my knowledge of bash.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Would you ever do a complete rewrite?
I've been thinking about it. I've actually started. I started from the top of the file the other day, and I started optimizing.
I was just disgusted by the fact that ASCII was in there, but I can't think of a better way to do that. Of it as portable as just having one script that goes around. Yep.
I mean, it just I've been thinking about just downloading a makefile or like making a makefile that'll grab the different parts, but like I don't like relying on that.
Yeah. Didn't you get a complaint from one of the guys over at Unix? What Unix Hub? Unix Hub.
Yeah. That it
About
was
that?
one file. Yeah. I was like, why don't you split it up? I was like, well, then I can't just wget, link to screen fetch and chmod. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I think it's better as one file. I think that guy was stupid. I think it was Beastie, if I remember right. If he's listening to this, then you're a faggot.
I originally did try to change that so it would like get it from a remote server, but that's just stupid because a lot of times you want to get a picture of a screen fetch of something that might not be connected to the internet, or I don't know what your situation is. Better just keep it portable.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I don't know. Inupai, he's in Rice. He's actually rewriting. He went to look at the screenfetch-c project, and I think he's going to rewrite it in C with he's going to fork the guy Woodruff's repo.
That's the kind of thing I can't see doing in C though, because it's not doing a lot of computing as much as it is just printing stuff out.
Yeah, it's still interesting though to like have it in C.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot
Hopefully
more
it does better than that failed PyFetch clone.
Oh yeah.
It's old.
Those guys don't even come on IRC anymore, right?
I don't think so. Or what was his name?
I don't remember.
I'll find it out real quick. I have the repo starred.
Santhas, you said you were using Gnome, right? Gnome session, right. At least.
Phoenix, there we go.
No. That was on FreeBSD. It was a Gnome error. I don't know why. I don't even use Gnome.
A lot of stuff relies on Gnome software that's not necessarily the Gnome desktop.
Yeah, like I use DWM.
Okay. Even like the Gnome bar will be relied on by something. But Gnome released 3.14 beta. I think it was like 1 day ago or like 3 days ago or some shit. And they've really beefed up their Gnome software product. And they've abstracted to the point where it will be available on a number of different package managers. So you can have Gnome software, which is kind of like their version of the Ubuntu Software Center, running on Arch, and it will learn to use Pacman or Ubuntu, and it can use apt-get or BSD. Might be able to use package source. I don't know.
I'm sure what it uses is I'm sure it'll rely on the LSB release package.
Mm-hmm. I bet it does that too. But it's interesting because it abstracts away rating and reviews of applications, which before you'd be locked into a specific package manager and software center to do. That's something I actually like seeing too for newer software, especially games.
Yeah, I can see that good for games. But I didn't know that they were working on that. That's pretty interesting, but that's also, I feel like that can be kind of buggy.
Yeah, it could be hacky with the implementation for sure. Well, although I doubt too many people are using alternative package managers. How many people do you know are running Arch Hour on Pac-Man, you know?
Not many. I don't think I know of any, personally.
I don't know. There was actually one person in G Technology that used to swear by using Yourt for everything. Yourt. It's a funny ass word to say.
I like Yourt.
Yourt is a huge mess. Yourt and package query in general are just monoliths of awful bash code.
Is that really written in Bash?
Yourt is written in Bash.
Oh, Jesus.
Actually, the one I would recommend is actually another Bash script called Packer.
I'll look into that because I use Yourt right now and it's a big pain.
Packer, I think, is independent. It doesn't, because Yourt requires package query, which is written by the same people that write Yourt. And it's basically it's like Yort's huge, and then it has this other lib file basically that's also huge.
I've actually never seen the source code for Yourt, but I'm really interested now.
It should usually be one or the other. The library is big or the source is big. I always fall into the trap with libraries where I'll get paranoid that I've forgotten how to program. So I'll go without using a library for a project. And then once the project gets to a point where that is causing issues, it becomes a huge pain in the ass to rewrite. I feel like the only programmer that has that issue, though.
Well, at least you're keeping yourself, I don't know, I guess on your toes. You know, not getting complacent and just using libraries for everything. That's always good to see.
Yeah, and then the other end of the spectrum is just like those Java kids that will library everything up. 100% of the code is library calls.
I've seen a lot of IRC bots written like that. It's really horrible.
Looking at you, Combot.
What?
Ouch.
Oh, we're just complimenting Combot and how good of a product he is.
Of course. Truly exemplary.
Don't pat yourself too much in the back there.
And for those of you who don't know, listening out there, Combot is the G Technology official IRC bot.
And a fucking asshole. He banned me for 3 days for misspelling his name. It's not my fault.
Sounds so bad for people who don't know why.
It's not my fault that O and U are right next to each other. And I've remarked several times how much he screwed me up in history. It's true, too. It's ruined the word combat for me.
Wow.
On my final exam for AP US History, too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I got it back at the beginning of this school year, and sure enough, circled combat.
Really? That's pretty rough.
It's just like one of those brain
That's pretty
things.
hilarious.
That is pretty hilarious.
Never forget.
I was going to say that because tomorrow's never forget.
Never forget.
I remember last year, 9/11 was on a Wednesday, and that's when the Geico commercial was really popular with a camel that would go around where it'd say, you know what day it is? And so one of our teachers said, you know what day it is? And I was at 9/11. And she got really upset because she was like a Navy person and everything.
Oh. That was her own fault for saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Oh, what's going on?
G's back.
Oh, thank
down?
Jesus.
Yeah, it was down for a while.
Why? What did Moot do? He broke it again?
He broke some JavaScript files giving errors.
RMS is DDoSing it. I know it probably was. It was probably with syntax highlighting on G if it just broke G.
That could be it.
I never really liked code tags, personally.
Yeah, I didn't like him either, but he was basically forced to add him in because, what's his name? A.O. Smith? The dude who worked on 4chanX, not Mayhem, but the other guy, he added that to 4chanX. So if people like put Markdown or some like people like they had something in the front of their post, and other 4chanX users would see it as as code brackets or Markdown or whatever, and other people would just see it as a bunch of gibberish. So basically, he was kind of forced to put that in, or he was going to have G full of gibberish. You know, so he didn't want to. You kind of had to.
That kind of makes sense. If enough people were using that feature of 4chanx, might as well partially implement it in the site.
Yeah, I think like mostly everybody was. That's the thing. And like people were complaining because it wasn't making any sense. Like people that were not in the know.
Partial too, because that could be extended to be something so much cooler. Like imagine if 4chanx allowed you to, in a browser, execute any code you found on 4chan inside of like a sandbox or something. There are other websites that allow you to do that kind of stuff.
That'd just be so unsafe on there.
I
don't think so.
I feel like that someone would break their shit and then blame someone else.
I don't see how you could break shit if it was in the sandbox, though, because it could only crash the sandbox.
Good luck implementing proper sandboxing.
If my voice is flaky there, it's because I was doing a crunch, maximum gains.
Do you guys even lift?
No.
I have an embarrassing story about that. if we want to get a little bit off topic.
Sure.
So yesterday, I really didn't want to go to the gym, which I usually do every other day. So I just drove around my house for 40 minutes after school, and I after about 40 minutes, I actually went to the gym and splashed a bit of water on myself, and drove back. I was like, "Oh man, intense freaking day at the gym." Everyone believed it, though.
You know what I would have done?
What'd you do?
Just not gone to the gym.
Yeah, I guess you could do that. You should, though. It's fun. You meet people there and stuff. Talk to old dudes on the treadmill. It's an experience.
I get my workout from ingressing.
Oh, is that still around?
Yeah, man, it's still around, doing really good. In Hawaii, it's pretty intense because so there's a global game, right? And ingress is when an artifact appears somewhere in the world on just a random portal, and Enlightened and Resistance have to fight over it, and whoever wins gets transported along one of their long links to another place in the world. So like Hawaii is the only place in between California and Asia. So like there's a lot of artifacts that come through here. So things can get really intense in Hawaii.
I want to see that integrated with Google Glass.
I think they actually got it integrated with one of the smartwatches.
Oh, that'd be neat. It's like a little HUD.
It is. I think I saw something. Maybe it was just a concept, but it looked pretty cool.
They should expand that kind of concept further. The mixing of real life with video game elements.
I gotta hand it off.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta hand it off to Niantic Labs, which is, by the way, a fake company. I think pretty sure Google created that company. Just that name, because Niantic Labs is in the augmented reality. Niantic Labs is like in charge of the whole portal thing. They're like basically the resistance, basically, and I gotta hand it to them. The immersion the amount of effort they put into immersion and like making sure the game feels real is impressive.
There should be an update where it like declares people officers and you have to beat the shit out of them in real life in order to get like ingress points.
Dude, there's been some really serious stuff over ingress portals and stuff. Like someone will come and wreck someone else's portal and they'll come out and beat them up and stuff. Like there's been tensions over ingress before. People have been arrested for trespassing in places after hours to get to portals and stuff.
That's ingress's fault though.
I remember back when I was in St. Louis, I stopped playing for 2 years basically, and I picked it up again when I came here. I played back when it was new, and I remember no one knew about it. Like no one besides people who played Ingress really knew about the game that much. And I get pulled over all the time for like this, because like all the portals are basically public service locations, like fire, like it was post office and stuff, but like there were also like fire departments, police departments, just like landmarks. So people I'd pull up to like a fire department in their lot, like said, get out my phone, or if it wasn't a portal yet, I'd like take a picture of the fire department building and then submit it to Ingress. And I've gotten pulled over several times. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they basically casing.
Yeah, I almost got in really big trouble for ingressing a couple times.
That's actually really hard to explain to a cop.
I'm just like, it's just I had to go, like the first guy, I had to go through a really big long explanation, and then he's like, all right, we'll just cool it.
I love people trying to explain video game things to cop, like the guy that got swatted on Twitch, trying to explain what live streaming was.
Yep.
There's people in this thing here, boy.
Shit.
I actually blew up like 2 weeks ago with all the swatting incidents. I don't know if it's the same guy or not, but Jesus Christ, like 3 people got swatted. They swatted that one dude's bedroom and he had like 500 grams of weed and he got arrested. I didn't think it was legal because you don't need a search warrant for that.
If the cop has probable cause, or no, not probable cause. What is the word they used? Fuck, I don't remember. It's basically if they see it in their like eyesight, in their immediate vision, they can like search stuff. I don't know. I'm no lawyer, so just never mind.
Tripping.
Yeah, it makes sense, but not when the cop's kicking down your bedroom door and then he sees weed in your bedroom.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, changing the subject, have you guys noticed the amount of like new G projects like popping up lately?
No, I haven't. Can you
No.
link me to some?
Well, there's gTorrent. I don't know if you guys heard of that.
Wasn't that started like a couple months ago?
Yeah, it's pretty old.
I don't know. I'm talking about within the last like 6 months. There's
Oh.
also there's like a G Linux distribution. I forgot what they decided to call
Clover?
it. Yeah, Clover. And then now there's a G Plan 9 fork.
Good.
Oh,
being
yeah.
developed.
Yeah.
I
I'm
saw
just
that.
Yeah, and then there's also
Well, Cox was in the last 6 months, wasn't it?
No.
no,
No?
nope. It's
About
almost
a
gonna
year.
be a year. Yeah, about a
Cox
year.
has been going
Oh,
on
okay.
around for like a year, man.
Okay. That shows how long I've been paying attention.
We should talk about Talks on here. Give it some publicity.
Okay, we can.
So, what do you guys think of it? Have you guys actually used it lately?
No, I have not. I've never installed it or like looked at it or anything.
Really?
Yeah, but you know my stance on like protecting myself online.
That's true. I actually tried it kind of recently. I actually tried it with Kitty Cat, and we.
Oh
we
yeah,
tested,
it wasn't bad. It was definitely not like Skype level.
Yeah, definitely alpha software, but audio video was working, which is pretty nice. This was actually about like April.
This was a couple months ago at least.
Yeah,
so,
so, like,
it
it
might
should
be a little
be-
better now.
It should be better now. I hope it is. I haven't
heard-
tried it.
I heard that the Tox model can be extended much further once IPv6 really drops and is supported by most ISPs. Like something about having static IPs really would improve the infrastructure of Tox. I forget where I read that or how it ties in.
Oh yeah, I think it would. Just because it would just give. Oh fuck, my dog's barking. I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah, speaker of the podcast, and that's dog again.
But yeah, it would give the DHT swarm like more nodes and more stable nodes, so that's always good.
There was that speaking of G projects, those operating system U developers that came by a couple like weeks ago. That was freaking great. First time I was on G in a long time, and I got to see that thread.
What
They
is
got
operating system
blasted.
view? Oh, is that one operating system that's based off? I think Manjaro.
Yeah,
What is this now?
it's based off like a
It has
17-year-old.
It has like a Kickstarter and it has like its
What is-
own laptop.
What operating system is this now?
Operating system U.
Here, let me give you a link.
They claim that it puts the U back in OS because you can customize it, but really all it has over Manjaro is a Plymouth theme. And they raised a bunch of money on Kickstarter, but somebody found out that if you get rid of all of their parents from the Kickstarter donation page, they've only gotten like $57 total. And their parents were a big part of it too, because they had like over $600 in their Kickstarter. But they came to G and asked if anybody would like to help, and they just got shit on.
Yeah, I saw that. Like now I remember it. That was actually a really funny thread. It's kind of. I think it's interesting that these guys are promising like a laptop. You know,
Yeah.
but besides that, this looks kind of shady at best.
Because that's the expensive thing to go for is the hardware design. The U-Book Go, they're calling it.
Yeah, the U-Book Go.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a catchy name.
Yeah, if these guys waited a few years, they could have maybe done something with this.
I doubt it, even then. It's hard to sell laptops. I only know that because apparently the Chromebook has to advertise itself in front of every goddamn YouTube video I watch. That Chromebook.
You have ads on your YouTube videos?
Yeah, I follow.
Look at this guy.
You know that's interesting. Now we can talk about ad block and how everybody here feels about that.
Well,
which is always a touchy subject.
I swallow a lot of, or I follow.
You swallow.
Hear that, ladies? I mean, men. Well, I guess ladies too. Yeah, sure, why not?
That's a different website. But I follow a lot of smaller YouTubers, and I like to support them by watching their ads. Especially one that gets really upset when he has non-monetized views. So I only have it enabled on or disabled on YouTube.
I just can't do ads. I've gone years without seeing ads. I just couldn't go back to doing that shit. It's so horrible. I don't know.
But the problem is, it's the easiest thing that we can do to support the free platform that we have right now. I'd much rather sit through a 15-second Chromebook ad than pay for a subscription, and then you have to deal with all the paying online bullshit that goes along with it.
See, like, I can't really argue against that because you actually are right. But I mean, the only argument I guess I can make is like, I don't know if you watch TV. I don't, but like, you know, people switch channels. You know, when the ads come on TV, it's almost. I think it's around the same thing. And you know, people are not getting upset over that. But I understand where you're coming from, and I have some respect for those people that do turn on the ads for the people they like. But I just can't do it.
I do it out of that, and just like I was saying, paranoia that the system we have won't last forever.
Well, I think the amount of people who use AdBlock versus the amount of people who don't.
Oh yeah, it's real small.
Yeah, like so I don't worry that I'm making too much of an effect. Like, I mean, I'm obviously costing them money.
And plus, the really lucrative platforms don't have AdBlock anyway. Mobile, still no AdBlock, but they can't be monetized on YouTube. Anyway, but that's a separate topic. Xbox, that still has ads. Wii ads. So AdBlock is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, and also like there's also like on a lot of YouTube channels there's Patreon. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I have.
Or
Patreon. Yep.
Patreon. Yeah, I don't know how to say that word. And Suppable, I think, something like that.
Suppable?
Yeah, Suppable.
The way you said it was like, I don't understand what this word means.
Kind of like a teat.
That's what I was thinking.
Here, one sec.
There's always a PayPal donation button that you can just
This.
chuck money at.
It's created by those
Subbable.
the vlog. Oh, Subbable. Yeah, I guess. I've heard everybody say it's Suppable though. That's the thing.
There's no P's in there. It's just B's.
I don't know. I hear people say it like that.
It's the babble.
Yeah, it's created by
Shut up.
those fags on YouTube's the Vlog Brothers or whatever. I don't like those guys. Fuck those guys. They are annoying.
Oh, I just had a stroke or something. I just completely lost that tangent.
So who do you subscribe to on YouTube? I don't have a YouTube account, so I don't have any subscriptions. But go on.
I'm embarrassed to say.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's really childish.
What about the technology-related ones?
I don't even.
You don't?
No,
I actually don't have any technology-related YouTube subscriptions either.
Right, I'm subscribed to Rooster Teeth, which I'm not that ashamed of saying.
So am I.
I'm subscribed to Rooster Teeth, and I'm subscribed to Android Police.
And then I'm subscribed to a lot of Call of Duty channels. Just a shitload. Like, way more than anybody has any business being subscribed to. I'm not going to list a number, but I'll say this. It's in between 0 and 40.
Jesus.
Is it 40?
It probably is.
39.
Wow.
Oh wow! Just Call of Duty?
Yeah. But most of that shit I skip over. I'm only subscribed to make the people feel better.
I can see you're lonely and that you're really trying, so here's a subscription.
Right. It's like little black kids with only like 500 subscribers. I'll chuck them one. I remember the tangent I was gonna have on before my brain had a stroke. I was looking at the link for Operating System U, and like G projects remind me too that Gentoo released a new LiveCD for the first time in like years. So their CD is now up to date with all the, dickin' new versions of Linux software.
Finally.
Not that anybody uses that shit.
Yeah, I don't. Like when I install Gentoo, I just use System Rescue CD.
You installed Gentoo? What a nerd.
Yes, I have. I have a stream of me installing Gentoo.
I have a video of me installing Sabian.
Why?
It's. I was like 12 years old in the video too. I can try to find it.
I used to like that operating system a lot.
It got bad.
It really did. It's so. I don't know. I don't like it anymore. But it was such a nice operating system. It was my favorite binary distribution.
Straight up found the video. But if I were gonna install something Gentoo related, I'd probably install funtoo.
Yeah, Funtoo's the best right now.
Doesn't it use GitHub for getting the packages? Or something GitHub?
Yeah, it uses Git instead of like rsync to pull the packages.
So it uses Git and not specifically GitHub.
I don't know if it uses GitHub. I think it does. It has the packages on GitHub, but it uses Git, which is the major selling point for that. It doesn't use rsync, so it should be faster, and it should be more
Control the
manageable.
Better.
Yeah, manageable.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about GitHub today, and that it might be getting a bit too big for its britches. I don't want to say that because it's not a first-party problem, but I think that way too much third-party shit relies on GitHub. Because we have funtoo with all their packages. The D package manager uses GitHub dependencies. So like in C++, where you would say include myfile.h, you would say include github.com/myfile.whatever.
Wow,
and,
does it really? That's
yeah.
kind of disgusting.
It's really disgusting, and a bunch of new languages are heading that way too. I mean, it's a good service and everything, but people use it for way more than it should be.
Yeah, like if I ever am in charge of a major software project, which I'm probably not going to be, I'm going to be running it on my own Git server. I'll have a mirror on GitHub.
Or on Skirl.
If you bring it back online.
Oh, it'll be back. Don't worry.
Do a GitLab or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have an own GitLab instance.
I love GitLab. It is so awesome.
I'm for code, I like GitHub. It has good statistics I just like to circle jerk about. Like, oh, look how much code it has now and shit like that.
Yeah, but I don't know. GitHub is also proprietary.
Yeah, and it's way harder to commit code to projects than it should be in GitHub.
What do you mean?
I feel like the whole workflow with changing somebody else's code and submitting it to them should be more akin to a patch than it should be having to clone their entire repository into your GitHub profile and then sending a pull request.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and diffing
right.
across branches. It's just such a process. And it tarnishes your name too. If it's a bad commit, you'll have that project in your history forever on GitHub, which is a big thing because that's the site that employers immediately just jump to.
Yeah, I want to make a professional GitHub for myself with my real name and everything.
That's
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that eventually, just to have it for employers. But it's not an issue right now, but for later on.
Yeah, I had a Dymatic GitHub, but then after I got doxxed, I just started making accounts with my real name in it and shit. It's a lot easier to explain that to a possible employer than saying, "Oh yeah, my email address is 420 smoke cigs every day, YOLO swag, whatever at gmail.com."
Can you repeat that one for me? I just want to write that down, just for future reference.
I can't wait to listen to that in podcast.
I want to make that now.
I do too.
I guarantee it's taken by some like 14-year-old
Can
from
we have
Kenya.
a 420 swag YOLO smoke weed every day at Teknik.io?
Not that I've noticed.
Oh, can we have one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm changing my nick to it in the IRC right now. Yep, too long. I'm glad that Taser kind of calmed down with the drug stuff. I remember we talked about that in the last podcast with the Hydro. I'm surprised he didn't die that night, to be honest. He's a badass motherfucker for drinking or eating, I don't even know what the hell it was, 500 milligrams of hydrocodone, and then proceeding to trip his mind out in the channel for the night.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm. The same night we recorded, because I remember keeping up to date with it through Uncle in the chat.
Jesus, he could have died.
He's dethroned Kodiak as the channel drug guy.
Kodiak's just mainly been talking about his girls lately.
Yes.
He finally got kissed.
Wait, who did?
Kodiak.
Ah, good friend. I actually do legitimately jealousy is the only word I have for that shit. Gonna burn his house down.
I actually saw his girls because he has more than one, and they're really pretty.
Yeah, in Oregon they usually are. I mean, where I'm from, it's just like dumpsters sprouted legs and decided to start walking around.
Oh damn, that's pretty harsh.
But true.
You know, I was actually gonna ask you guys a question just now about something. Now I can't remember. Maybe I shouldn't even mention that I was going to.
Oh god, now
Cool
you
story,
have
bro.
to.
Yeah, now I'm curious.
Oh yeah. So what do you guys think about Nya going down? Nya.se.
I have no
So
clue
what
what that
happened
is.
there?
Hmm?
What happened?
It's being DDoSed.
Oh, it's being DDoS. I thought they like got taken down.
They were getting DDoS, and now they're just down and no one knows why. So Uncle D and Dynamatic, do you guys know what Nya.se is?
Nope.
It's actually a very big thing.
Something
right
about
now,
anime
happening.
or something, right?
Yeah, it's an anime torrent tracker, probably one of the biggest one on the internet, and it was getting DDoSed and it was taken down. It's been actually up and down, mostly down for the past week.
What is it with the DDoSes lately? Because that's not the only thing that's gotten DDoSed. Minecraft,
Oh, yeah. Go on.
the Minecraft server I play on has had the same thing. It's just been up and down all week. It's like a goddamn roller coaster.
Well,
I don't know if there's 2 isolated incidents, or maybe one guy is both services. Not sure.
there's multiple websites getting DDoS right now, but they're mostly anime related for whatever reason. I'm not too sure why they're doing it, but like most of the big torrent trackers are getting DDoS, like the streaming sites, the direct download sites, and a lot of people thought it was the Japanese government because the Japanese government announced last month that they were gonna come down hard on like anime piracy, but no one really knows what's going on.
Welcome to slow lanes.
Right?
That could be it. They're just participating in Internet Slowdown Day.
Nah, not Nya. I know not Nya. It's been too like chaotic for them to participate in something like that because they've been down most of the week. When they do come on, it's slow as fuck. So everybody's hogging up bandwidth.
You know, it sounds like the thing that Timmy from South Park says before he starts going into like his retard fit. It's like, no, Timmo.
What?
I don't know.
Something like that.
Timmy.
Yeah.
Timmo. All right, we've kind of reduced to just shouting each other in retard voices. What is this? What does this become?
Yeah. Maybe we should kind of sign off. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't have any topics left, and I haven't.
I have nothing to say anymore.
There's the whole Opensuse thing, but that can wait until next week. Or next 2 weeks. When are we recording the next one of these?
Probably next 2 weeks.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So yeah, our next podcast should be in the next 2 weeks. And I'm sorry for any listeners if this one was a little bit slower. We used up all our good topics on the podcast that you won't be hearing.
We had some goddamn awesome topics last week, actually. C++ 14 hit. That was big. That's all I could think of. Last week sucked. It was us circle jerking about how much we hate C++, and then your dog and Thunder, and then that was it.
We also talked about Reddit and what we thought about it.
Oh yeah. And my opinions haven't changed. Reddit's still goddamn awesome.
What do you think about Reddit?
It's the dicks. The dicks in a good way, though.
I want to know what Xanthus thinks about Reddit.
I think Reddit, and I'm actually just going to repeat what I said last week. I think it's good conceptually as a news aggregator, which it was designed to be. I think.
Right, that's what's called Reddit.
Yeah, I think it is good as a news aggregator, but as a place for a community to form, I don't like it. I feel that because it has a really big hive mind mentality to it, at least what I've noticed.
And 4chan doesn't, though?
Yeah, but the thing is, I knew you were going to bring that up. The thing is, like, you can't downvote a person on 4chan to the point where their comment is hidden.
Sure can. You just reply to them and say Sage.
Yeah, but Sage. Sagaru. But it's still like it's there, visible, and it's not oriented in a way where the most liked comment is up at the top. It is in chronological order in order of posts, and I feel like Reddit contributes to kind of like a circle jerky mentality where if a person goes against the norm for that subreddit, even if it's not the norm in like other places, that their opinion won't be heard, which I don't like. That's basically how I feel about it.
I think you've been frequenting the wrong subreddits.
Yeah, that's what I told him last week, is that he's just sticking to the hive-mindy subreddits, the circle jerky ones, instead of like FreeBSD subreddit or OCaml subreddit.
Well, I don't really go on Reddit, but for just what I've seen, I actually, as a moral kind of stance, I just don't go. I actually have it blocked.
It's just better. I mean, sometimes it's better not to go, just to keep yourself from from being stupid, or from seeing people being stupid.
I've done both on Reddit. I can confirm. Don't be stupid or see stupid people on Reddit. It can come back to bite you if you tell anybody in real life your Reddit username. Also, if you're going to tell somebody in real life your Reddit username, please make sure you don't post our poop, because it will come back around like a boomerang with a vengeance.
Oh, I can tell you've done that.
I'm just saying in general. I might have done it.
You have a subreddit?
Yes, indeed.
Would you mind sharing the name?
It's kind of personal.
Oh, that's
Yeah, the famous Black Joe. Nothing good can follow that. Do we talk at all? I don't know if we want to get back into a topic, because it seems like we're kind of winding down. About Tumbleweed.
Tumbleweed? No, we haven't.
Because that's really interesting, and I'm excited for it. It's the Opensuse is going rolling release.
Yeah, but hasn't that been wasn't that announced a long time ago?
Yeah, but they've been phasing it out, and now their stable version is the rolling release. It just kind of rolled all the way up to where it's out of. What am I trying to say here? You know, it's not a good idea before the podcast is any kind of alcohol, because at a certain point the tire mixes with that and just thought process goes out the window. But the rolling releases now they're stable, is what happened recently. It took like a couple years to catch up.
Oh, okay. That's
And right when it happened, there was a huge like mountain surge of users of Opensuse, which is a good thing because that's a really good OS.
that's actually the last Linux distribution, major Linux distribution that I haven't used.
Definitely should.
OpenSUSE?
Yeah,
It's
I've used
so
everything else except for that.
it's so radically different from everything else.
What kind of package manager does OpenSUSE use? Again?
Custom. It's RPM, but it has its own front end
Oh,
to it.
RPM. Okay.
It's
Never really
Zipper,
used it
right?
then.
Yeah. And has the Yast, which I don't think any other distribution has anything even close to Yast. Yast is just absolutely mind-blowingly awesome, which every distribution had a Yast. And Horror is coming close to having one.
And I forgot what it is. Can you mind explaining it?
It's kind of like the control panel, but for Linux. So from the OpenSUSE Yast, you can change, in a GUI, mind you, the boot entry for grub. You can screw with the partitions. You can separate your home partition out, make snapshots of your file system. It's just really advanced stuff, really system admin-y things. You can even launch and maintain an email server from Yast. Email, file, web, whatever.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Maybe I'll install OpenSUSE on that 83 gigs that Happy was complaining about that I still have on my hard drive that's empty.
Yeah,
He
I'd
was
recommend
complaining.
it.
He was complaining about it.
He was like, "You gonna install a fourth edition on there?" And I was like, "Maybe, I don't know." He's like, well, "Why don't you just expand your home?" And I was like, "Well, maybe I'll install something." He's like, "The 83 gigs is going to waste, man."
I've never seen an OS reject my Ethernet driver that was OpenSUSE. That's the only reason I'm not using it right now. But I assume that's just my problem, and that will happen with a lot of other people.
What? You said it was your Ethernet driver?
Yeah, it just
What card are you
didn't
using?
support my Ethernet. I Giga something. I don't know. I have no idea what hardware is in this computer because there was a weird circumstance with it. I think I told the channel when that whole thing went down with this desktop. It's not a particularly interesting story. What it was is it was dead for 6 months and then it like resurrected. But by now I've forgotten what hardware it has and everything.
You should just run LSPCI.
Oh shit, I forgot that was a command.
Should
A lot
tell
of
you
people
everything you
forget
need
about
to
LSPCI, LSHW, and LSUSB.
Yeah, Realtek semiconductor RTL8 triple 11.
know. No, that should be supported.
Exactly. I don't know what it was. Probably an installation problem. I didn't check the checksum.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Because I think I have a Realtek Ethernet card, and it works fine on Linux.
Right, and it should just be Linux that's controlling that.
Actually, excuse me, GNU plus Linux.
I mean GNU plus Linux.
No, GNU.
New.
No, GNU.
I was trying to think of a way to say GNU, but yeah, it just didn't work.
My engineering professor actually says GNU.
Yeah, that's freaking weird.
Yeah, and it just freaks me out each time he says that.
I just say new, like the cow, or the opposite of old.
I think that's what it was intended at first, but then it got confusing.
Yeah, because people would think it was the new Linux or whatever.
Yeah, so Mr. Stallman prefers GNU. How do you guys feel about that anyways?
GNU
The-
Linux.
Yeah, they're calling it GNU Linux or Linux or...
It's bullshit. The OS is Linux, and leave it at that. I'm not calling it System D Linux.
Well, why do you say that?
I say it because GNU is as much a part of the operating system as a whole as System D is. Or, no, I don't want to say it's that like LibreOffice is as much of a part of the system as GNU is, because GNU has some pretty deeply nested things within Linux. But it's still an OS independent of GNU. You can launch Linux on hardware and it would run.
As a kernel by itself?
Yeah,
It won't do anything.
it won't do anything, but it's technically an OS.
So you're saying a kernel is an operating system?
Yeah, but you don't hear people saying, "Oh, I'm running Windows NT."
No, because Microsoft calls their operating system Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows 8.1. Like, I think if you are using a Linux distribution, I think the best thing to do is just to call it by the name. So if you're using like Manjaro, just say Manjaro. If you're using Debian, you say Debian. But if you're just talking about in general, like Linux distributions, and if they have GNU in them, I think GNU Linux is the proper term.
I can actually get behind that because there are cases where Linux will have GNU in it.
Yeah.
For instance, embedded.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that like all Linux, everything that uses the Linux kernel should be called GNU plus Linux. But if it just uses the GNU userland and it uses something like glibc, I think you should call it GNU plus Linux.
You can completely replace the GNU core utils and whatnot with the BusyBox, can't you?
Yeah, you can. And if you do something like that, I think then you shouldn't call it GNU plus Linux.
That'd be BusyBox/Linux.
Yeah.
Or Gentles/Linux.
I actually still have the Gentles repository on my GitHub with some of the programs.
We should restart that.
Did you ever? You're the one who sent the email to Richard Stallman, right?
Yeah, and he actually replied. I got all giddy.
Yeah, like I really agree with what he said. It really was like a kind of a wasted effort, considering the amount of userlands there are. You know, if you have a problem with the GNU userland, you could always use like Plan 9's userland or BusyBox or even like what's the
I'm trying to think of the BOS one.
Suckless. The Suckless userland?
Yeah, they have one.
Yeah, you could use something like that.
I do have a problem with the GNU userland now. I don't usually get upset about that, but if you ever look at the source code of like even just very simple commands, it can get out of hand really quick. The coding style for GNU core utils is just ugly. Ugly as sin.
Yeah, I've seen some of the source code for certain commands, and it is kind of ugly and big. But I personally don't have a problem with the GNU userland. I've switched out my userland before, Debian, back when it was more modular. It was fun. It was a fun, I guess, hobby project to do. But I don't know. I like GNU.
It is a hot project, really, because there's no real reason to do it.
Yeah.
I actually seen recording.
I guess so. Yeah, our next podcast will be in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No. Not 2 weeks from today.
Well, no, yeah, not 2 weeks from today, but
A week and a half.
It'll
2
be
weeks from Sunday, last Sunday.
It'll be 2 days after Never Forget plus 2 weeks. That's a pretty good way of looking at it, right?
I guess so.
So that's September. Let's see. Never Forget's on Thursday. 12th is the Friday. 13th is Saturday. And then 2 weeks after that is 14 days. 14 plus 7. 20 plus, and then the 4 and the 3. 20. September 27th.
All right.
My server will be here next Thursday.
I thought you already had it. Because wasn't it supposed to come
no,
on Labor Day?
It was supposed to come on Labor Day, and they said, "Oh, but since Labor Day is a national holiday, and we're military movers, we next time we can do it is like 3 weeks from now."
God damn, the military
Wow.
delivered your goddamn server?
Yeah, it's because I live in military housing.